So my client came in and she told me she wants to feel brighter without having the maintenance. And so the look that we're going to go for is something that's super, super bright around her face and kind of pops open around her eyes and just kind of enhances her features a little bit. And then we're going to melt that down. When I do my bunny piece, I always connect my face frame highlight with the back of the hair. When you look at a face frame, we're going to take a look at the front of my hair here. And so I have brightness all through the front. And if this was sitting in the front and all of this was completely dark, that would kind of look funny. So now when you pull your hair forward, you have the brightness that connects with your face frame. So that's why I'm going to pop some foils through her back to kind of connect everything, make everything look cohesive. I want to make sure that I'm sectioning off from right behind the ear. I'm going to section just like that. And I'm kind of just going to clip the front away for now. We're not really going to pay attention to the front until after. Right now, we're just going to focus on the back. And then what I'm going to do is go in and split the back right down the middle. And this next one is going to be a zigzag parting. So we are going to leave a little bit of hair out. I'm going to hold with tension. I'm going to use my comb as if it's a pencil. See, I'm holding it like this. And I'm going to go in onto her scalp and sort of create a zigzag parting. Just like that. And all of this will be left out for now. And this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pinch at the bottom, tease up. I can use my clip to clip away that tease. And then I always like to make sure when putting my foil on the board, I give myself a little bit of extra room. So I'm going to fold my foil over the board, stick the board under, lay it down, make sure I have good tension with my thumb there. The hair is all in place. Again, we don't have to bring it all the way up. So I'm going to leave a nice little root there, feather the lightener up, make sure I have good saturation in my midsection, and then I'm going to tuck the ends in here. Depending on like the client's hair density and whatnot, your foil may slip as you're putting the lightener on it. And that's why I like to leave myself a little extra wiggle room with that foil at the top. So we're going to paint, saturate. Once you have good saturation, I'm going to remove my board. Now I'm going to fold my foil up, and you can see if I flip my foil up now, this is that extra flap that I created before. This, once I put my comb here, I can push it down, and now the foil is nice and close to the root if you have slippage. So I always like to just have that there as courtesy, just in case I have any slippage with my foil. I know I can save myself, and that's a really easy way to do that. Now, with all the hair that I left out in between, we're going to do some tip outs with that. So what I like to do is go foil by foil. The hair that's left out here, I'm going to split that in half and move it to the side. I'm going to flip this foil up, clip it, take this hair, split it in half, move it to the side. Now, that was all the hair that I had left out in between those. So what I'm going to do with both sides of these, I'm going to bring my tip out to the side. I'm going to pinch the ends just like I did before, and I'm going to do a nice tease up. Hence the word tip out. I do not want to bring my lightener all the way up the same way that I did with the other foils, because then it would just be the same. So I'm going to bring my lightener halfway up with my tip outs, just so the ends have a nice little tipped out painted look. You can see that I brought my lightener halfway up. I'm going to fold this foil up. We're going to close that up, and that'll be my tip out on this side. And then we have one more tip out right here. Pinch at the bottom. I like to use my peace sign. Pinch at the bottom with those two fingers. Tease up. Again, halfway up. I do not want to bring the lightener all the way up on this, only halfway. I absolutely love utilizing tip outs during my highlight placement. It can make a look so completely different. It really just adds that nice pop of brightness that you're looking for. So if you're someone who doesn't ordinarily do tip outs, try using tip outs next time you're highlighting and just see how different your overall outcome will be. So I'm going to go ahead and section out her mohawk from the arch of the eyebrow back. Use the arch of her eyebrow, section that back. I want to make sure that there's going to be an even amount of hair like on this side and this side. So if I feel like one side is a little less dense, I'll just add more hair to it. And you can do this for a side part as well. If her part was all the way over here, I would just make sure the density on each side based off of where her hair parts is even. So I'm going to go based off of the part. Say I'll take this, section that out, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side, and it'll work just as good. So it'll sort of look something like that. Like I said, I'm gonna go based off of a middle part for her just to keep things easy. Now I have her sectioned off from right behind the ear. We have her mohawk sectioned off, and on a real person, a hairline may look slightly different than it does on a mannequin. So I am going to take my first foil and kind of match it to the back. We want that first foil to be like a pop, but I also want it to be really, really soft. So what I'm going to do is section off this first around her hairline, just like this, like kind of like a nice slice. I'm just following her hairline in here. So we're going to take this first section and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the first foil in the back, in the front. So I'm literally going to tease this whole thing up. No weave, nothing. I'm going to pinch at the bottom using my pieced fingers, and I'm going to tease all the way up. This is going to give a really, really nice pop. But now we have all of this tease in here that when we comb that out, it's going to give really nice soft dimension. The reason that I started teasing from the bottom is because that's going to give us the most dimension in this section. And because it's the first foil that's going to be on her face, I want to have the most dimension there, because if I didn't, she would just have like one solid line, especially when she pulls her hair back. It's just going to be one solid line. So for that first foil, you want to make sure you get a nice tease in there. We will clip that tease away. And with this, you can visualize where you want this highlight to start. Do I want to bring it all the way up? It really depends on what the client's looking for. If she wants to be really like rooted with her face frame, I would only bring the lightener up, I would leave a little root there. But if she wants to be really high up, then bring the lightener all the way up. Very customizable. We have nice saturation there. I'm going to lock that foil in. Use this flap to get it a little closer to the root. Close that up. So now I'm going to work up the head just like this. So I'm going to take one foil and I'm going to do a zigzag parting. But towards the front of the face, I want maximum brightness. And on human hair, towards the front of the face, we usually have less density. So usually as you're foiling a client's hair, you'll feel towards the front, it's very, very fine. And then towards the back, we're starting to feel like a lot more thickness. So what I'm going to do is towards the front, I want to really dip in there and take that as my first section. And then we're going to do a softer weave right behind it. So I'm going to take boulder towards the front, drop, drop for my weave, just like that. I am like a big fan of teasing. I feel like it makes my work just look so seamless and blended, but I'm not going to start all the way from the bottom. My tease is going to start from here and just kind of push some of the hair out of the way. That way we create a little bit of dimension in that highlight, but not too much. Clip that tease away, get my board ready. With the board, I can get maximum saturation in my section, and it gives me something to lean against. Now working up this whole side section, I'm gonna pretty much do that like thicker section in the front and then dip into the back of the section. I'm going to grab a little thicker piece in the front, and then we're gonna dip into our weave. And then I will tease from here up. Clip that out of the way. When putting my lightener on, I do like to bring it a little higher towards the front of the face, but it's not necessarily a V. So this first, I always will stick my lightener down first in the midsection. That's going to create my glue with the hair to the foil so that the hair doesn't really move all over the place. Once you create that glue, I will start to kind of feather my way up. You want maximum brightness towards the front of the face and least amount of brightness towards the back. So my highest point is going to be in the front, and I'm going to slowly work my way so that the color is sort of on an angle like this. My highest point of lightener will be towards the front, and then I will angle my way down with the lightener towards the back. Once I'm satisfied with that, I go in and I saturate the rest of the ends. Now we're going to move to the mohawk section. Brush this through, make sure I don't have any tangles. That way it's easy to work through. I want to section out where I want her like money piece to start and where I want it to end. So I'm going to section out from the front to here. Now, you might be looking at that and you might be like, Taylor, that is going to be the chunkiest money piece I've ever seen in my life. What are you doing? Please just trust the process. So I'm going to section the rest of this away. That way it doesn't get in my way. Okay. So now this is where our face frame and money piece is going to live. The first foil is going to be a really, really soft, same thing we were doing around the rest of the head, a really soft tease. Okay. All right, so we have our paper thin section, right? We're imagining it's paper thin. I really want to be able to see through it. You can see through it, but on human hair, it will definitely be a little bit different. So first foil is going to be this with a soft tease. So I'm going to start my tease from here and just softly tease that up. You can also take this piece and you can weave it for softness. You know what? Because it's mannequin hair, I'm going to give it a little bit of a nicer tease. You want there to be a nice tease in there just to create the softness around her face. If we didn't create the softness, she's going to have a really harsh line around the front, and it's not going to look cute. I'm going to start her face frame slightly off of her scalp. She told me she doesn't want it too high up, so I'm going to start here and work my way up. Leaving about an inch off of the scalp. Now, this is important to keep in mind. Where you start this foil determines the rest of your face frame. So if I left that much of her hair out here, I want to just keep that in mind for the rest of the foils. I don't want to bring any of the next few foils any higher than here. This is what's going to create that really soft, gradual transition into the rest of the hair. The next foil is going to be pretty much the same thing, but as we work our way back, we are going to get a little more intense with our tease. I'm going to take another nice slice. And now I'm going to go a little more heavy with my tease. So instead of just doing one like that, I'm going to add an extra one in there. So that's two nice teases into this front section. You're going to realize we're going to be left with less hair in our foil because we teased a lot more of it away. And also, now when we bring our lightener up, in the last foil, I brought the lightener up to here. I'm going to start to slowly, as I work my way back in her money piece, bring the lightener lower and lower down. Okay, this next foil, we are going to weave. And typically I will do those first two foils, and then after that will be usually like another three. But you can also keep like going back into your mohawk section and creating like bringing your lightener lower and lower down. Just depends on the look that you're trying to create. But so for this, we're gonna go in, we're gonna weave it, We're not going to get stuck on our tees. And we're going to go even more. So now we have this dropout, which is nice. We will end up tipping that out for brightness around the front, but I'm going to go even more intense with this tease. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to make sure where I bring my lightener up to is a little bit lower down than the previous foil. So we're going to glue on, feather up, and I'm going to bring my lightener to right about there. I will do the same exact thing with the next foil. We're going to weave. So I did about 3 teases with this one. The next foil is going to get about 4. And as you keep working your way back, like I said, you want to be more intentional with your teasing and where your lightener is being placed. So now I just went through the rest of those foils and took the drop out. I split it in half on each side, bringing it towards the front. I'm going to go all the way down at the bottom, tease that all the way up, and I'm going to add a tip out on both sides. This is the perfect face frame to get your clients that like nice little summery pop that they're looking for. And also if they are not looking to do like a full color transformation, I feel like this adds just like a nice amount of color around the front of their face. It's that really good like in between refresh. All right, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for taking the time out, for investing in yourselves. Education is so important in our industry. If you don't follow me on socials, my handle is Mane and Tail. So make sure to follow me and connect. Thank you again.